5 things you absolutely need to retire. Without the last one, it's all pointless. I'm Frank Sullivan, 60 years old, just a regular guy from the suburbs of Chicago, where winters freeze your bones and summers feel like you're standing next to a pizza oven. For 34 years, I worked as a warehouse manager for a trucking company, up at 4 a.m. checking inventory, meeting with big shot bosses, and wrestling with cargo containers that weighed a ton. The job put my 2 kids, Emily and Josh, through college, paid off our wooden house with a grassy backyard Karen calls our nest, and let us stash away a decent nest egg. But last fall, one crisp morning, I was sitting on my old porch chair, sipping black coffee, watching Karen prune her rose bushes in the early sunlight, when it hit me, Frank, have you really lived? Or have you been chasing shifts your whole life, only to wake up one day and realize you missed everything that matters? That question was like a punch to the chest. I started listing what I needed to retire without looking back with regret. And I came up with 5 must-haves. If you don't have the last one, the rest are meaningless. This is my story, a 60-year-old American guy who decided to let go and live for real. Are you ready to hear what those 5 things are? Trust me, the last one will make you rethink your whole life. The first thing that hit me was money, or more like, how much do I actually need to retire without stressing? Everyone thinks retirement means a fat bank account, enough to buy a beach house or travel the world. I was like that, dreaming of driving an RV with Karen along California's coast, stopping in Napa Valley to sip wine, or even flying to Hawaii to lounge on the beach with a Mai Tai. But then one night, after the kids were asleep, Karen and I sat at the kitchen table, pulled out the laptop, and opened Excel. Don't laugh, I'm a warehouse guy, I live for spreadsheets. We calculated monthly expenses, utility bills, groceries, maintenance for my old pickup truck, a few camping trips to Wisconsin, and birthday gifts for the grandkids. The total? Way less than I thought. We've got our 401k, some savings from years of grinding, and Social Security's about to kick in. It's not $1 million, but it's enough to live comfortably, hit our favorite barbecue joint once a month, and still have cash for toys for the grandkids. I remember taking Karen for burgers at our local diner, and she grabbed my hand across the table, her eyes sparkling, saying, Frank, this is more than enough. I just need you here, healthy and happy. That stuck with me. Retirement doesn't mean being rich, it's about knowing what's enough. Happiness is in the small stuff. A movie night with Karen, a morning coffee watching the sunrise, or the grandkids' giggles when I push their swing. If you think you need a fortune to retire, sit down, crunch the numbers, and be honest. The best life is doing what you love with what you've got, and that's more realistic than you think. But money's just the start. I needed a plan, not some pie-in-the-sky daydream like my buddies spin at the bar, but something real, tangible, doable. Everyone's thought about retirement. Fishing at the lake, fixing up a classic car in the garage, or just kicking back with a stack of John Grisham novels. I was no different. I had a handwritten list taped to the fridge. Go fishing at Lake Michigan, learn to make Italian bread with Karen, fix the porch before the next snowfall, maybe repaint the living room. But I quickly realized the list is just a promise to yourself if you don't act on it. So I broke it down. Every month, Karen and I will go camping once. Maybe Wisconsin or Indiana, nothing fancy, just a tent, a camp stove, and a starry sky. Every week I'll try a new recipe. I'm hooked on barbecue ribs, though my first attempt was a charred disaster. And this spring I'll call a contractor to fix the porch, maybe add a swing for Karen to read on. I even stuck a calendar on the fridge, marking each task like I used to track shipments at work. One time my daughter Emily saw it and teased, Dad, are you retiring or training for a marathon? Why so busy? I laughed hard, but deep down, I knew a clear plan keeps me from becoming one of those guys who retires and just watches TV all day, bored out of their mind. Retirement isn't about stopping. It's about living with purpose, one day at a time. If you're thinking about retiring, don't just dream about trips or hobbies. Write down the small steps, schedule them, and get moving. A good plan is your compass for those wide open days so you don't get lost. Then I thought about investing, not to become a millionaire or brag at the golf club, but to have a little passive income to make retirement less stressful. I've heard buddies at the bar boast about buying Tesla stock, flipping condos in Florida, or opening car washes that print money. Sounds great, but I'm no Warren Buffett and I don't have the time to learn stock charts. I don't know enough, and honestly, I'm not risking my life savings on some hot trend. Instead of chasing big bets, I went practical, something closer to home. I pooled some money with my best friend, Mike, to open a small bike repair shop in our neighborhood. Nothing huge, but it's busy because kids around here love their bikes. I also helped my son, Josh, buy an old van to start a mobile coffee stand at the weekend farmers market. It's not about getting rich, it's about giving Josh a leg up, seeing him build something. The payoff? It's not just cash. It's Josh calling me, voice buzzing, saying the stand was packed, or watching a kid grin ear to ear with a freshly fixed bike. One afternoon, Karen sat with me on the porch and asked, "Do you ever wish you'd gone bigger, like stocks or real estate?" I shook my head, took a sip of coffee, and said, "I've got peace of mind and joy seeing Josh stand on his own, seeing kids happy. That's enough." If you think investing before retirement is out of reach, look around. A small stake in something meaningful, like helping your kids, supporting your community, or a local shop, is still investing. It's all about what you value as profit. For me, it's smiles and security. One thing I couldn't skip was insurance, Social Security, healthcare, all the boring stuff that can save you from going broke. As I got closer to retiring, I started worrying, what if I get sick? What if I crash my truck? What if a hospital bill wipes out our savings? I'd seen a coworker, Joe, retire only to find out his health insurance lapsed due to a paperwork error. He had to drain his 401k to cover medical costs, and now he's scraping by. I wasn't going to let that happen. So, I spent a whole month checking everything. Social Security was lined up, my health insurance covered the basics, and I bought an extra private policy for big risks like cancer or heart surgery. Last year, my knee started acting up, arthritis, and I needed tests and physical therapy. Thanks to insurance, I didn't touch our savings, just focused on getting better. Karen hugged me when I got home from the clinic, whispering, "Thank God you were thorough, Frank. We'd have been in trouble otherwise." Retirement is when you want to relax, not stress over forms or bills. My advice? If you're nearing retirement, double-check every insurance policy, Social Security, healthcare, private plans. Make sure they're solid so you can live without dreading unexpected hits. And I couldn't ignore physical activity, something that sounds simple but changes how you live. At 60, my body's like an old pickup truck. Still runs, but it creaks and needs regular tune-ups. Metabolism's slower, small cuts take longer to heal, and I'm winded after a day of yard work or shoveling snow. I used to think retirement meant lounging in my armchair, watching Cubs games or flipping through the paper. But I realized if I don't move, I'll turn into a real old man, with a beer gut and knees that scream every step. So, I joined a cycling group with some neighborhood guys, hitting the trails twice a week, pedaling and swapping stories about our wild younger days, laughing till my sides hurt. Karen got me into morning walks at the park nearby. I grumbled at first, saying, "I'm not some grandma," but now I'm hooked on the cool breeze and chirping birds. One time, I overdid it cycling, pulled a muscle and was sore for 3 days. Karen chuckled, "Thought you were 30 again, huh?" But instead of giving up, I felt alive, like my body was saying, "Thanks for not ditching me." Retirement isn't about slowing to a halt. It's about staying strong enough to enjoy life, whether it's fishing, chasing grandkids, or hauling trash cans without gasping. If you don't have a sport yet, try something: walking, biking, gardening, even jumping rope in the driveway. Your body will thank you and you'll feel a decade younger. Finally, and most crucially, it's health. Without it, everything else is pointless. I used to think I was tough as nails, barely catching a cold. But right after retiring, I found out I had a heart issue. A small blood clot, but scary enough to keep me up at night. The doc said I needed surgery pronto, and just like that, almost all the savings Karen and I had scraped together over decades vanished in weeks of hospital bills. Lying in that hospital bed, staring at the white ceiling, I thought, if I don't make it, what's the point of money? Of plans? Of the bike shop or Josh's coffee stand? I was scared, not just for me but for Karen, for the kids. Thank God, the surgery worked, and a few months later, the bike shop and Josh's coffee stand started turning a profit, helping me rebuild our finances. But I wish I'd checked my health more thoroughly before retiring. Now I see a doctor regularly, meet with a nutritionist, cut back on sugar and beer, eat more greens and walk daily. Health doesn't just happen, especially with smoggy air and processed food everywhere. I remember sitting with Emily, her holding my hand saying, "Dad, I just want you healthy so you can play with the grandkids for years." That lit a fire in me. If you're eyeing retirement, get a full checkup today. Listen to your doctor, build good habits, and don't take health for granted. It's the foundation of living, not just surviving. When I tied these 5 things together, enough money, a clear plan, meaningful investments, solid insurance, and good health, the decision to retire was as clear as a sunny day after a storm. I retired a few months ago, and now every morning I wake up, brew coffee, sit beside Karen watching her tend her roses, and feel like I'm truly living. No more 4 a.m. alarms, no more stressing over late shipments or warehouse quotas. Instead, I'm biking with buddies, reading bedtime stories to my grandkids, and trying to nail barbecue ribs without torching the grill, still working on that. If you're on the fence about retiring, here's my advice from a 60-year-old who's crossed that line. Don't wait for perfection. Check your health, map out small steps, secure your finances, find a sport you like, and invest in something that matters to you. Above all, don't let health be your regret. Without it, nothing else matters. Life's yours and it's too short to put off. Live it starting today. Did my story make you think about your own retirement? Don't just sit there. Take action. Subscribe to Stories for Retired for more real stories and practical tips to prep for your next chapter. Drop a comment below. Which of these 5 things matters most to you? Hit like if my journey inspired you, and share this video with anyone who needs a push to retire the right way. Join the Stories for Retired community and start living the life you've always dreamed of.